We're just a few days away from the wonderful, joyous holiday of Purim, and I wanted to share with you a mind-boggling idea or concept that we find in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, that already foreshadows the entire Purim story. This actually comes from Rabbi Michal Bar Weissmandel, a Holocaust survivor. Actually, you can read his book called The Unheeded Cry, an amazing book, should be required reading. And Rabbi Weissmandel literally had a mind like a computer. He was brilliant. He could read a book and tell you how many words were in it. He could see if there were patterns. Well, one time in the 1950s, one of his students, a Rabbi Yaakov Greenwald, visited Rabbi Weissmandel. And Rabbi Weissmandel said to him, Yaakov, tell me something. How many letters are there in Megillas Esther, in the scroll of Esther? The rabbi said, Rabbi Greenwald had no idea. Rabbi Weissmandel said to him, well, there's 12,196 letters. Wow, said Rabbi Greenwald, I never knew that. But so what? The rabbi smiled and said, well, watch this. If you take a look at the Torah, right in the beginning of Genesis, the first word is Bereshit. If you take a look at the 3rd letter in that word, it's an Aleph, the first time that Aleph is mentioned in the Torah. If you count 12,196 letters from that Aleph, it'll come to the letter Samach. Another 12,196 letters to the letter Taf. Another 12,196 letters to the letter Resh, spelling Esther. Within the Torah was already foreshadowing that many years later there would be a story with a woman Esther and a scroll that had 12,196 letters in it. Rabbi Greenwald was astounded. That's amazing, he said. Just Esther? How about Mordechai? He too was an integral part of the Purim story. Rabbi Weissmandel didn't know. But the next year, Purim, he met Rabbi Greenwald and he shared with him the following. The Talmud says, he said, that the name Mordechai is alluded to in the Purim story, in the Torah. Where, he said? Well, it's actually in this week's Torah portion. The Torah brings down different spices that were used in the temple and the tabernacle, and one of them was called mordror. The Talmud teaches us that the Aramaic translation of the word mordror is Mordachia, or Mordechai. Said Rabbi Weissmandel, if you take that mem in the Torah of mordror, you count 12,196 letters, you'll get to the letter Resh. Then you'll get to the letter Dalet. Another 12,196 letters, letter Chaf, and then eventually the letter Yud, Mordechai. Both Mordechai and Esther are hidden, but they're there even within the Torah itself, which was given so many years before the Purim story. Amazing. Really mind-boggling. But the truth is, we don't have to take the Torah and count the letters or find patterns to see God's hand. In essence, in our own lives, if we would open our eyes, if we would open our ears, more importantly, if we would open our minds and look at the many different things that happen in our life, we could see God's patterns. We could see God's hand in our life itself. And that is the essence of the holiday of Purim. It's about finding God in our lives. It's about being inspired by God's direct involvement in our lives, just like he was there in the entire Purim story, behind the scenes. If you look carefully in the Megillah, you will see the fingerprints of divinity written all over it. In our own lives too, it behooves us to try to identify the Almighty's fingerprints, those fingerprints of divinity. If we do that, our life will be that much more inspiring, that much more enriched. We'll have a great connection with God, and our life will have much more meaning. So on this Purim, don't just party, reflect. Don't just drink, think. And you'll see that God exists in your life, and that'll bring you infinite happiness. So between now and next Thursday evening is the holiday of Purim. A happy Purim, a Shabbat Shalom. See you next Thursday evening.